Hello and welcome to another episode of Faith and Spirituality in a Time of Crisis. My name is Chris Fuller and I'm the Chief Sponsorship and Mission Integration Officer at St. Joseph's College in Maine. St. Joseph's was founded in 1912 by the Sisters of Mercy. The sisters themselves began in Dublin, Ireland in the 1800s. Today's conversation is with the Sister of Mercy, Sister Dale Jarvis. Sister Dale will share with us some information about the founding of the sisters and their work. And in particular, our focus today will be on Haiti, where the coronavirus has had a particularly devastating impact. Much of this series has focused on the impact of COVID-19 in the United States, but this episode affords us the opportunity to take an international focus. So please join me for this conversation with Sister Dale Jarvis of the Sisters of Mercy.
Great. So I introduced you as a member of the Sisters of Mercy, and that the sisters founded St. Joseph's College as well as other colleges in the United States. So can you tell us just a little bit, for those who don't know who the Sisters of Mercy are, can you tell us a little bit about who are the Sisters of Mercy?
The Sisters of Mercy are a religious community founded by Catherine McAuley in Ireland. There was a tremendous need of the people in Ireland, especially women in particular. Catherine McAuley had no intention of finding or founding a religious community, but she did want to serve the people there. They came to the United States, the Sisters of Mercy, following the needs of the Irish immigrants, and in particular, probably be talking somewhat about the needs of the Irish immigrants in the state of Maine and in Portland in particular. And that happened in 1865.
Yes, but then in 1912 is when they then founded St. Joseph's College, originally in Portland.
That's right.
Then it moved out to its current location, which is in Standish, Maine.
That's right. We had two of our first foundations. One was a high school, St. Joseph Academy. Many of the students there wanted to go on to college, and asked one of the sisters, and we opened up the college on the same campus, right in Portland. And in maybe you know the year in which it was moved out to
1956, I believe.
1956.
Mm-hmm.
A little story about that. Mother Evangelist and Mother Edwina both knew that they had to expand the needs of the college in size and space, and visited many sites. When they were in Wyndham, they found a beautiful place and weren't sure whether that's where they would stay, but they went to a chapel on the site and found two stained glass windows, one of St. John the Evangelist, Mother Evangelist, and St. Edward, Mother Edwina, and the two of them felt this is where the sisters need to be, and we have been on that campus since 1956.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things I've learned about the sisters since I started working at St. Joseph's is it's in the DNA of the Sisters of Mercy to go wherever there is need, right? So they started in Ireland, and they moved to England. They began to expand, and they have expanded their ministry and their service all over the world, correct?
That's correct. We are anywhere between 42 and 46 countries globally. At first, most of the sisters traveled, again, following immigrant populations to English-speaking countries. Some of the first place in North America was in Newfoundland, and then Ireland. From Ireland, they went to England, of course, and they went to the United States, New Zealand, Australia, and since then, many other countries in South and Central America, and also some in Europe. But they mainly followed the English-speaking Irish to other English-speaking countries.
Interesting. Now, a country that is of particular focus for the sisters is Haiti. They have a ministry specifically dedicated to Haiti. How did that ministry begin?
Well, the Sisters of Mercy, I think you said this, Chris. If somebody said, what is our mission? It's mainly to go where the greatest need is. Historically, the greatest needs have been education and healthcare. But today, a sister, I guess we could say, do just about anything wherever there's the greatest need. In 2011, the Sisters of Mercy gathered in Chicago, maybe about over 500 of us, and we came together at a time when there were tremendous global needs. And we realized where was the greatest need at this point, and where did we need to go to address the ultimate poverty today. And a few of us sat at a table and decided that if Catherine McAuley was here again today, what would she see as the greatest need, and where is the greatest need? And together we all said it needs to be Haiti. That was in 2011. I was sitting at that table when we had a dream. That dream has expanded tremendously, where now there are over 30 sisters, associates, friends of Haiti that have responded to some of the greatest needs in Haiti: healthcare, education, care for the elderly, care for those who have been abandoned. And we went there in particular because of the poverty, but also because the Sisters of Mercy have always focused on what we call critical needs. If you ask a sister what the greatest need is, and there's 3,000 of us, we'll say 3,000 different things. So we've come up with a few needs that maybe we should collaborate on in a more deliberate fashion. So when the group of us went to Haiti initially, knowing it had such great poverty, we connected with another religious community there because of our particular focus for the agronomy, which today is the environment, as we say, in the critical needs, and also women, because that's where the greatest poverty is.
And you yourself have been part of that ministry, correct? You yourself have gone to Haiti, you've served in Haiti as part of the sisters' work there, correct?
Absolutely. I actually started there in 1996. And there was a group of sisters, and we decided that we would check out some ultra-poor countries. And there was grants available for some of us to go to Haiti in 96. At that time, I was working internationally for justice, peace and justice. And of all the countries I visited, I never wanted to go back to Haiti. But somehow where I wanted to go and where God wanted me to go were two different things. So in 2011, when a group of us sat down and we decided on Haiti, I said, this is the God of surprises who always says, Dale, I want you back to a country that has the greatest need. As of this year, I have been to Haiti 14 times. Each one of those times looking at these needs and doing whatever I can to address the needs in Haiti and the people. It's not the needs of a place, it's the needs of the people who live in that place.
And what have been the particular needs there that the sisters have been serving?
Well, one of the greatest needs is Catherine McAuley always talked about we needed to recognize that it's important that we serve God's people, but that finances are also important so that we can serve God's people. And so for years, we have, through Mercy Investment Services, been giving low-income loans to organizations globally. One of the places we give a low-income loan to is a place in Haiti, an organization in Haiti called Fonkoze. There's a priest, Father Joseph, who said, you know, those who have money can go to a bank in Port-au-Prince. The poor have no access to banks. So he started a bank for the poor called Fonkoze. And for years, Mercy Investment Services, through their low-income partnership fund, have been able to finance these low-income banks. So through our collaboration with Fonkoze, we found out that there are some women that are way too poor to even have enough money to put in a bank. These are women, and 98% of the money loaned to women for these low-income loans, 98% of the people are women. we found out that there are women who could not feed their children each day. I was there at one point where there was a child who seemed to have a lot of energy, and one of the sisters said, "He seems excited and full of energy today." And the woman said, "Yes, he got fed yesterday. He's not as hungry as his brother, who will not get fed until tomorrow." We meet with these women, in particular, who have these children who cannot get fed each day. They do not go to school. They do not have a latrine. They have a roof that leaks. They have no means of income. And so many of them are sick because of unfiltered water. So, as Sisters of Mercy, we decided what we needed to do is invest through Foncose, this low-income finance bank, invest in groups of women, 200 at a time, and we need to go ahead and make sure that over an 18-month period, these women, through the investment from the Sisters of Mercy at $2,000 per woman over 18 months, she can feed her children. She can send them to school. She has built a house. They have clean water, and she has enough money to not just have a cow or a pig. She also is able to stand up and have hope and be a member of her community. That, I think, has been the biggest success over the last 3 or 4 years.
And is there a way for someone who might be watching this to contribute to those efforts in terms of Mercy investments, make a contribution, or make a contribution to the sisters' work? How would they do that if they wanted to support that work?
They would go directly to the Sisters of Mercy website for Mercy Focus on Haiti. There you get a sense of all the commitments that we've made. Growing trees, we've been able to sponsor 5 agronomists and put 100,000 trees on the hills. We regularly take care mental and physical health of the abandoned elderly. We feed a child every single day, lunch and an egg in the morning, and also take care of the women in the Foncose program called Chemin La Vie Mio. Anybody that would like to have better understanding of the programs that the Sisters of Mercy run in Haiti and help sponsor, go to mercyfocusonhaiti.org.
Okay.
We're also on Facebook, mercyfocusonhaiti.org. Presently, the biggest needs are because of COVID-19. Children are not in school. The sisters cannot bring high school or college students down. So we're in the process right now of getting enough money for humanitarian aid to continue to feed the children and the elderly, and also to sponsor the women in these programs so that they might have some independence.
Thank you for bringing that up in terms of coronavirus, because right now most of our news has to do with the United States. Each state, how many cases, how many hospitalizations, that seems to be our day-to-day focus. And we might hear something about other countries, say in Europe somewhere, but we're not hearing a lot about developing countries like Haiti. And we know even here in the United States, the adverse impact of coronavirus on low income, the poor, the marginalized. What can you tell us about that we're not hearing about Haiti in terms of the impact of the coronavirus there?
One of the things that has been terribly upsetting is the number of Haitians who have been deported from the States back to Haiti that have been infected, not deliberately, but because they've been exposed to other people with the coronavirus. They are being deported back to Haiti, to a country that has absolutely no health care. So one of the areas that the Sisters of Mercy, who always are strong in systemic change and advocacy, we're trying to really challenge our government to stop the deportation of Haitians who have been infected, again, not deliberately, but because of their exposure to the virus, that are being deported to a country with no health care. Right now, I We talk regularly to our sister partners in Haiti, and it seems as if whatever figures we hear in the States about the Haitians and the coronavirus, it's exponentially worse. It's 10 times worse. They have maybe one ventilator for a nation that is so ill-equipped. There's a tremendous poverty, a lack of clean water, um, also such disbelief in the fact that this is not some type of uh, illness that's been imposed upon the Haitians. They're burning individuals who they think are, they're burning them alive because they are so um, superstitious about what is happening.
Right.
It doesn't happen all the time, but we're hearing of it.
Right.
So let's keep um, addressing the needs. Right now, the biggest needs, of course, that we know of the people we work with are the protective equipment. We are also sponsoring a hospital that has been just changed over from a cholera hospital wards to take care of the people with COVID-19. Our sisters who are partners there, that's one of the things. So um, the best way to read anything about what's happening there, we've heard the Miami Herald at this point is giving a lot of good information because it's a tremendous amount of Haitians that live in that area. But just let's stop the deportation of these Haitians, and let's continue to address the desperate humanitarian needs of the Haitians at this point. And hopefully you will sponsor the work of the sisters there who are directly addressing this every single day.
Yes, and I'll post a link to the sisters' work in Haiti at the end of this video, but also in the program description of this conversation, so people can link directly to it, and the Facebook page as well. I think you've also made a very helpful, you presented two helpful focal points for the work of the sisters, right? And they're within the context that we call Catholic social teaching. Charity and justice, right? Charity attends to immediate needs, justice attends to structural needs. You described that well, that in Haiti, yet we need to attend to immediate needs, right? People are hungry, people aren't working, or people need education, but there are also systemic needs that need to be addressed as well. I think you pointed out an important one, which is if there's no hospital system in place, like we have in the United, if here in the United States, we're worried about ventilators and hospital beds, right? What more so in a country that doesn't have the same infrastructure
That's right.
that we have. And part of what we need to be thinking about when we think about Haiti is the infrastructure there, and also how can we help the Haitians build an infrastructure, right, that supports the immediate needs, or it supports well enough the immediate needs no longer become available, no longer necessary, correct?
That's exactly right. The infrastructure, and that has been part of the Sisters of Mercy focus for as long as I can remember, is that we always address those two very strong needs. The needs today, but the system that will address the structures that prevent the needs each day from being answered. Healthcare, the biggest needs in Haiti too. One of the biggest needs is just the fact that the roads are not working at this point. It's not that the roads are not working. People can't travel. There's been political violence in Haiti for at least a year and a half. Up until a year and a half ago, the sisters brought high schools and colleges down, students. We did that not so that they could see the poverty of the poor, but so they could recognize their own wealth, and I'm going to use that word, not just financial wealth, but privilege, and their responsibility to continue to address those structures that we have the power to sit at the right tables to make a change for those who don't have it. That's always been part of the sisters' focus.
Absolutely. And so something I asked earlier about how can people support the sisters? They can go to your website, they can support them that way. But another way we can support this work is being cognizant now of the deportations of Haitians, those who have coronavirus, and those therefore who would take it back to Haiti and make a situation worse,
That's right.
we can call our local representatives, our local senators, and ask them to stop or to take a part in halting the deportation of Haitians while this pandemic, at least while this pandemic is taking place.
That's right. That's exactly right. We're not trying to interfere with the governmental structure that's there. That's something that needs to be addressed by the Haitians. But we can at least try to keep those Haitians who are sick here from being deported and infiltrating a population that's already wounded and basically no health care, and introducing this COVID to a greater degree than it already is. They're already experiencing tremendous amount of problems. As you know, Haiti's on the same island as the Dominican Republic. All the Haitians in the Dominican Republic are being exported, deported back to Haiti. And it doesn't matter if you're illegal or first generation or second generation of a Dominican from a Haitian. There's such an amount of hatred and violence for the Haitians, even by the Dominicans, that a lot of violence is happening on the borders to the Dominican Republic.
So given all your visits there, I mean, in the United States, we tend to only hear about Haiti when there's a natural disaster, when there's political violence, when there's poverty of some sort. What can you tell us about the Haitian people? What have you experienced in your encounters with the Haitian people?
They are a strong people that have had to survive in conditions that you and I probably would give up on. In fact, I went to a graduation of 200 women from the CLM program, the Foncose Bank for the ultra poor. I went to the graduation of the 200 women that we sponsored. What I recognized was 200 women who overcame the type of adverse situations that you and I would not even know how to survive. These are women that saw their children hungry every single day. These are women, I remember seeing one woman who said, on the days my children don't eat, I give them mud cookies so their stomachs are not empty. All I can say is that they are a strong, beautiful people who, when given the chance, will be able to stand up and find hope. But they can't do it alone with oppression, the way ultra poverty is in that country, and the lack of health care. There are many NGOs in Haiti, and some people would say NGOs, non-governmental organizations. We call them not-for-profits in this country, NGO, non-governmental organizations. If it wasn't for them, I don't know where the Haitian people would be. We need to continually be partners with them. It's gospel. It's nothing more than Matthew 25, to feed the hungry, to give drink to the thirsty. How can people would say, we have problems in our own backyard. My question is, how big has the gospel made your backyard? And when will you decide to understand that our privilege should only make us feel as if we have a responsibility for those who have so much less? They are beautiful people, a strong people that have been oppressed. We need to stand with them.
Excellent. Thank you, Sister Dale. That's a great note to end on in terms of helping us see the dignity of a resilient people who have survived much, and to whom we can offer our support and our solidarity, I think is what I heard you say.
Absolutely.
In the gospel. And so those who are watching this, at the end of this video, you'll see a link both to the sisters' work, their webpage, and their Facebook page, as well as in the notes for this conversation. I encourage you to go to them, and both Sister Dale and I encourage you to call your representative and ask him or her to stop the deportation of Haitians, at least during this pandemic, to give the people there a chance to deal with the pandemic and address it and find some path forward.
Thank you, Chris, for the chance to share who we are as sisters, who I am as a sister of mercy, and the privilege I've had of walking with the Haitian people. Thank you.